Hello everyone. It's a long time since I've read a story. We've had to use ones that we did before. But I've got another one today which I think you might like. It is from the Bible, it's from the New Testament, and it's a story of a time when Jesus was around. Okay, it's called The Man Who Would Not Be Quiet. I wonder if there's times when you won't be quiet. Let's see what happens. This is a story from the Bible. It's actually from Mark's Gospel. Bartimaeus was sad. He couldn't see. His eyes wouldn't work. That meant he was blind. It's a bit sad, isn't it? But he could hear. Stomp, 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 tramp, stomp. I wonder what that is. Lots of feet. So he was sat at the side of the road, and he could hear lots of people running and walking past him. And he could hear lots of voices. Jesus was coming. Jesus? He didn't know. Jesus. Jesus was coming. Bartimaeus opened his mouth, as big and wide as he could, and he shouted very loudly, Jesus, the best king, the one God said was coming. Help me. Wow, he shouted it. Shh, said the people. Be quiet. Too loud. Not you, everyone said. Oh dear. I wonder if that shut Bartimaeus up. But Bartimaeus was not quiet. He opened his mouth even wider. I wonder how big you can open your mouth. Is it as big as Bartimaeus did? And he shouted even louder. And stomp, stomp, clomp, stomp, tramp, stomp, stop. Jesus stopped. And he called Bartimaeus. What do you want me to do? He said. I want to see, said Bartimaeus. You're all better, Jesus said. You believed in me, so now you can see. And suddenly, Bartimaeus could see. Bartimaeus saw something no one else could see. The king God said was coming had come. The king God sent to make people better, and not just eyes, had come. It was Jesus, and that was something worth shouting about. Isn't that a fantastic story? Absolutely brilliant. You've got another quiz from Steve. I hope you enjoy it. See you soon. Bye.
Hi, boys and girls. Well, every time I think we can't hear a better story than last week, it always happens. We do. And it's happened again. Shouldn't be surprised, should I really? Great story. Thank you so much. Well, we've got a slightly different quiz game this week. I wonder if you have any idea what some of my favourite animals are. I'll help you a bit. They have just 2 legs. They have wings. That's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? And they have feathers and beaks. Yes, I've always been very interested in birds. And so over the years, I've had lots of different birds as pets, some in cages, some in indoor aviaries, and some outdoors, birds of different kinds. Today's quiz is about birds. All of these birds, we will see in this country. You might have seen them sometime or another, and most of them you will see in your garden even, or in the city centre, or in the town. So I am going to show you some pictures of some different birds, and I want you to see if you can guess or remember what kind of bird they are. It doesn't have to be exact for you to get a mark. Are we ready? What about this bird here? What about that? What kind of bird is that? Haha, I can hear some of you answering already. Any ideas? Well, it is actually a turtle dove. But if you said dove, or pigeon, or wood pigeon, or collared dove, all of those will be absolutely fine. They are birds that we will see in our back garden sometimes. This next one you won't see in your garden, and you might not see them in the wild, but you will see them on farms. Are we ready? What kind of bird is that? We are very fond of these, unfortunately for the bird, at Christmas time for our dinner. Does that help? Yes, it's a turkey. I have a passion for turkeys. I can speak turkey, well, sort of. I can have a conversation with turkeys by making turkey-type noises, and they make noises back. We recently stayed on a farm whilst we were on holiday for a few days in Lincolnshire, Mandy and I, and there were 2 turkeys walking around there. They would come up to our door, and I would have a conversation with them. I would go sort of, and they would go back. Thing is, I've no idea what they were actually saying or what I was saying, but they seemed to understand it. Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on. Did you guess it was a turkey? What about this next one? This one's a beautiful creature. Don't see them very often because they're nighttime creatures. Birds of prey, silent assassins. Yes, that's a kind of owl, isn't it, you're saying? Yes, it is. You're correct. It is an owl. Do you know what kind of owl? Its colour gives it away a bit. It lives in farm buildings sometimes, hence its name. It's a barn owl. They've got a couple of big barn owls, not English ones, but foreign barn owls, at Blackpool Zoo. Very big, and you often see them in falconry displays. They fly silently. You can't see them, can't hear them coming at all. Their wings make no noise. What about this bird? You'll see lots of these around in the fields, in the trees, on the telegraph poles, and sometimes even in your back garden. Those black and white birds that make an awful squawking noise. I always think that their song sounds a bit like old tin cans. It's not very beautiful, but it is to them. What kind of bird is that? It's a member of the crow family, but we don't call it a crow. What is it? Yes, you got it. It's a magpie. What about this next one? I think you'll know this one. We've all seen these in our back garden. Ha ha! Completely black, with a yellow beak, and when they land, their back tail fans out to help them balance as they land. Watch next time and see what I mean. Sometimes you'll hear these, even if it's raining, sitting up in the trees or on top of someone's roof, singing away, and they have the most beautiful song. What bird's that? Ha ha! Its colour gives it away, doesn't it? Yes, it's a blackbird. Well done. What about this one? This one is a beautiful one. This one you will see in your back garden. They like to eat seeds. If you hang up in your garden a seed hopper and put in Niger seeds, these birds love those, little black thin seeds, and they'll come and eat them. And they've got a beautiful song. Sometimes people keep them as pets in cages because of their song. And sometimes they can crossbreed with canaries because they have similar beautiful songs. What bird is it? It is a member of the finch family. Did you guess that it was a finch? Well, then you were right. It is a goldfinch. Did you get it? I hope you did. We'll all know this next one. We see him on Christmas cards. He's one of our favourite birds. You never see crowds of them together, usually only one or at the most two. He's a very solitary kind of bird. He's got a bit of a mournful song, but we love them. Who is this? With the red breast. Do you remember? We see them on Christmas cards quite often. Yes, you've got it. It's a robin, of course. Well done. We see lots of these as well. Particularly because we live at the seaside, these birds tend to live at the seaside, although you sometimes see them on rubbish ships or near rivers, and you see them sitting on the sea, sometimes bobbing up and down on the waves, as well as flying around. You have to watch out for them, because they might steal your lunch. Ha ha! What is it? Ha ha! Can you see? Yes, it is. Well, it's actually a herring gull. But if you said seagull or seabird or a gull, that's absolutely fine. That's spot on. We see lots of these, don't we? And sometimes if you put bigger pieces of food in your garden, big chunks of bread, the seagulls appear out of nowhere and scoff them before you know it. Now, this next bird you don't see very often. They're very beautiful, but they're not very big. They live close to rivers because they feed on fish that they catch from the water. Does that help? It's quite colourful. Here it is. What bird is that? Ha! I've only ever seen two these birds, but on two different occasions I've seen one of these birds, and it was just a flash. A beautiful turquoise blue as it flashed past, dived into the river and flew off with a fish. It is, of course, yes, you got it, it's a kingfisher. Now, this next bird you probably won't see in your back garden. You might now see it down by rivers. You might see it by lakes. You certainly see lots of them in Stanley Park in Blackpool by the big lakes there. They've got lots of these birds, and they nest in the trees on a little island in that lake. And sometimes you see them as well in Blackpool Zoo. They're not amongst the exhibits that are kept there, but they just fly in, and they sometimes sit by the water in some of the animal lakes. What bird is this? It's a wading bird. It feeds on the fish that it finds in the water. It's got long legs, a long neck, which it uses to stretch its head under the water, and a sharp beak to spear the fish that it wants for lunch. What is it? Do you know? It's a harder one, this one. It is a heron. In fact, it's a grey heron. Did you get that right? That was hard. If you got that one right, give yourself 2 marks because it was very hard. This little chap, I wonder if you can guess who he is. We see him in our garden, and despite his big yellow breast, his name, part of his name, does bear the name of a colour, but it's not yellow. These are very small birds. We actually have been very blessed because of our next door neighbour, just around the corner. We can see his back door through our window, and he's got a nest box on his wall, and 2 of these birds had made their nest in that box and brought up youngsters, had eggs that hatched out into babies of these during the summer. They're gone now because they can fend for themselves and don't need the nest anymore. What kind of bird is this? It's a member of the tit family. But what kind of tit is it? Do you know? It colour is its head. Yes, it's a blue tit. Strange that, isn't it? Because it's mainly yellow, but we call it a blue tit. And the last one, you'll have seen these. You sometimes see clouds of these in the sky, all flying and swirling around together. They make a bit of a squawky noise, and they're quite greedy. If you see them in their garden, and usually quite a lot of them come together, they scoff up the food before all the little birds can get to it. What kind of bird is that? Any ideas? It's called... Well, what do you think it's called? Yes, it's a starling. Well done. Well, once again, time has gone, and it's the end of our quiz for another week. So, until next week, till next Sunday on Next Kids Time, it's Steve saying bye for now.